Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How is everyone today? So good, I hope. So good. So we have a multitude of things to play with today. We have, let me scoot that a little bit. We have brand new artwork for our calendar, our Year in Bloom calendar artwork, but we also have our relaunch, and that is the Lucinda art printable. So we have lots of things to paint and fill with color this morning. So if you're here, give us a hey. Let me see if my thing appears a little bit crooked. Let's see if I can, whoops. Hey Valerie. Good morning. I know I'm a little crooked this morning. I don't know what's up with that. Everybody make sure you have a great big drink. And take a great big drink. So, good morning, Lori. How are you? Oh my gosh. How are you? How are you? Missing you, my friend. Missing you. Let's play with Lucinda art printable first. And I will put a link to her. Just a sec. I hope that everyone is well. And had a great weekend. There's a Lucinda. And now let's link the July Year in Bloom. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so in love with these flowers. I can't wait to paint them. And the ones that you'll see on the website were painted by, Carm and Jennifer. Doing very well. We're in a big rain event, so lots of inside crafting time. I bet. But your flowers are going to love that. Your outside posies will love that. But until then, you can color inside posies with me. If you're brand new here or you haven't done it just yet, please take a moment and like, comment, subscribe, share, and Corbiere-Scott Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then ask to join our private Facebook group, Stitch Along with Anne and Corbiere-Scott Designs Facebook group. There we go. Okay, I've already started to play a little bit with the Lucinda this morning, and I wanted to talk about, we love our highlighters here at Corbiere-Scott Designs. We do. So I wanted to, let me find there we go, paintbrush. So the leaves I've done straight to paper. And what I did was, the technique I used for that was, I knew that I wanted to play with lots of different, good morning, Allison. We are playing with highlighters today. So Allison, I sent you a note back this morning. Did you get it? Let's play with pastels on Thursday's pop-in paint party. How does that sound? Then we can, play. But these are the Nature Colors Stabilo Boss highlighters. So I thought, well, let's play with those. And so I was telling Joni, we love highlighter art so much at Corbiere-Scott Designs. I have this bag that is full of all manner of highlighters. And this doesn't even count all of my mild liners, whatever. Anyway, there's some extra colors in here that I don't know. I'm going to start with just these. So for this one, for the leaves, I was kind of thoughtful about how I laid down some color, and I'll tell you a couple of the things that I did. When you do straight to paper, you want to flick toward the shadow, right? So we know that the shadow is right here under the petals, right? Or right here where where one leaf is on top of another leaf, right? We know that. So let's talk about that. So I started with this green, which is kind of a olivey kind of green, which is, don't ever look at the color of the outside of a marker and think that that's what the color is. Always test it. Always test it. You know, at art stores, there's almost always some kind of paper that you can test on. If not, just have a little pad of white, you want it to be white, but paper in your purse so that you can fiddle a little bit. So you see, I tested it here. Here's the sagey green. This looks kind of putty-ish, doesn't it? But look at, it's almost kind of I don't know. Here's the peachy color. And then here's the, what I would think is kind of a coral color. But look at, it's really quite orange. So, like I said, I wanted to play with all kinds of highlighter techniques. Joni, if you have any tips or tricks, if you could just pop in and let me know and put it in the group, and then I'll try to make a handout with highlighter art tips and tricks. Okay, so so like I said, I flicked toward the shadow on some of it, and I flicked away, and then I flicked toward, because you'll notice when you're using markers, usually of any kind, sometimes they tend to like pool a little bit, and so you want that pool to go here where you already want it to be darker. Do you know what I'm saying? And again, I am barely touching my substrate with my markers. These particular markers happen to be very, very juicy. Very juicy. Okay, so these poppies that I drew, this was one of the first art printables I ever drew. I think I want to play with these two colors as for the petals of my flowers. So I had a couple of ideas. What would happen if so this is, we just practice and play and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, we can always fix it, because, that's who we are. But but we're not going to learn unless we practice and play, right? So let's see if we can do some wet on wet. So let's get this petal wet, and then let's see what happens if we drag some color right through that water. It kind of, it's pretty faint, but that's okay. We'd rather have faint than too dark, right? Because we can always layer. Let's get some more water. That's really a lot of water. So let's bring some of that water over here. Good morning, Patricia. How are you this morning? So we're going to be playing with both art art printable today. We're going to play with the Lucinda, and then we're going to play with the July art printable, the July calendar art, Year in Bloom. So let's just start with, like I said, just the first layer of color, and that doesn't have to be significant. It's just a start, right? So now let's take the deeper color and let's try that flick, right? But then let's bring in our paintbrush and then move that color with that paintbrush. Okay, let's try the same thing here. Wet our brush and then tap it off, so we're just working with a damp brush, right? I'm going to just keep moving that color around. And I like to, because these are all chisel, I like to use my chisel, like have it flat right at the base there, and then flick. And then move that color around. You kind of need to move pretty quickly, I have found. But we're all capable of that, right? So like I said, wet your brush, tap it off. Remember, we're working with, there we go, a wet on wet technique, and so our base, our substrate is already wet. Wet, tap, tap, tap. And then we're working with a little bit of wet on top. There we go. Stop it. Ooh, I'm loving that. I'm loving that. I think I want to do all the flowers the same, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with my flowers. I like to try and think about it like in two different mindsets. Like today, I'm just going to play with painting the flowers. I'll figure out what I want to do with them after I've fussy cut everything and it's all waiting for me in my, I have this cut glass tray filled with all kinds of things I've painted and fussy cut, and then I have that fodder just waiting for me for my next make. Everybody take a drink. So I'm thinking about the center of this. Oh, you know what? We need to do that little bud right there. So let's wet our brush. There we go. Let's come in with the first color first. And then I'm barely putting any, because look at how small this little bud is. And I'm tapping off any excess color that I have, because I can always build it, right? So, what was the next? Let me look at my little notes. Okay, so do you remember the very center? Let's play with using them as a watercolor, a highlighter. So we're just going to scribble some color down on our craft mat, and this is that kind of a mushroomy putty color, and let's get that down in the center. You know what? I think I'm going to try and do some of the other centers and just get that, because you know, I don't like to waste color. And I don't, so back in the day, when I first started 6 years ago, I drew like this. I drew a slim line, an A2, and an independent piece of art. This is printed on 90-pound watercolor. Allison, you ask away. Ask away. So I'm scribbling again. I'm going to take that wet paintbrush and color in that center. And I know already that I'm going to want to, build up the centers. I'm going to probably bring in some other mediums, etc., etc. But I know I like to have a little bit of a base to kind of go on. Do you know what I mean? So let's get rid of that because we want to probably bring in another color. So the way to perfect a technique is to do it a bunch of times, right? So let's do the same technique as this same technique on all of these posies, because then I'm going to just keep getting better and better and better at my technique because practice, right? Practice. So let's take our brush. Joni, did you get my text this morning about your mushrooms? Okay, there we go. There's our first. You know what? Let's do them all. These are bigger petals, but we can certainly still do some wet on wet. Okay. Just get that base layer of color down. Okay, and then move that around just a little bit. Just ever so much. And I'm kind of digging this because like it's going, my strips of color, when I did the stripes, they're just kind of bleeding out and leaving that base of, there. Do you see how it's pooling at the end? That's what I'm saying about the other, how I did the leaves. I tried to flick toward the shadow, right? Flick toward the center. This one, because I'm blending out, I'm flicking out from the center, so it's going to be darkest toward the center, right? Wet my brush, tap, 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 and then because I want to just move this color, that's cool. And then I really want to deepen that very center. And tap, just blend that out. I have a feeling that I'm going to want to, and I'm really going to want to fussy cut all of these flowers and build them into something more. So you do you, you know, if you're feeling that. I just like the versatility of having a bunch of flowers to play with. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, for me, I have the painty part uses one part of my creative noggin. The buildy part of a composition uses a different part of my noggin, and so I like to do those things in parts, you know. Okay, there's that. So I'm just kind of scribbling it. See what happens if I do that. Kind of digging that. And then let's just move that color around just a little bit to fill that space with a base of color. Then we can come back. Hi, Cindy Jones. How are you? Hey, Renee. How are you? I bet you're off for the summer now. Are you not, Miss Renee? Okay, let's come in with some of the deeper color. Whoops. And let's move that a little bit. So, artist of the day, Prince. He has been filling the airwaves of my house for the last like 3 days. I just love him. What a tragedy. What a loss to our world, you know. I can see a little fuzz on there. But he's singing in my head right now. Don't you love that when artists do that? I know my community, Renee. I know my community. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's making me so happy. And I have like big ideas. Like I'm thinking, that's still a little bit damp. Everybody take another drink. Okay. There we go. Let's get some of that base color down. Okay. There. Do you see how it pools at the end of the stroke? That's what we want to try. Unless you're doing something wet on wet, I think you're gonna want that unless you're blending it with a brush, you're gonna want to do that flick where the extra is down here at a shadow. You're gonna want to flick toward a shadow. Okay. All right. I'm thinking where I want to go next. I told myself I was going to do a half an hour of this and a half an hour of that. So I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then at the tail end, I'm hoping that I can come back and do a little bit of finishing touchy kind of things. So let's move that over, and then let's bring in, look at it! I love it so much. I love it so much, you guys. So this is the July Year in Bloom art printable, and the idea for these flowers, I was someplace, some gifty shop somewhere along the line, and I saw these flowers made out of wire, like bent wire, and I was like, oh golly, I just love that. And so, you know, I snapped a picture, and then as I do, I always have my little notebook with me, and I just started drawing. Let's see if I can find them. There we go. So and then I wrote, seeing the world through an artist's eye. That's what we all need to do. See the world through an artist's eye. Not a prejudice eye, not a color eye, do you know what I mean? Like just through an artist's eye. You'll see the beauty if you look with a human eye, with an artist's eye. You'll start to see, remember we talked about it during, when Kendrick Lamar was the artist was the performing artist at the Super Bowl. If you looked at him through an artist's eye, you saw things totally different. When we looked at Bad Bunny through an artist's eye, we saw him totally differently, right? Okay, so now look at these. So now we're going to pull out some just Sharpie highlighters, and these are the kind you can look for during back to school time. Let's play with these brights on these wiry flowers. So, good morning, Bonnie. How are you? Nice to see everybody here this morning. And if you're watching on the replay, be sure to, leave us a comment. Let us know. Keep engaging. Arizona does not do daylight savings time. I know, it's weird. It's weird. I know. Okay, so I'm thinking about the centers, and I want the centers to be bright. And so I think I'm just going to use this this yellow, which is a pretty... So I have kind of a dirty copy, but I don't care. So I'm going to go straight to paper because I want intense yellow, right? So I want... And I like this yellow because it's kind of more buttery yellow than the typical, like that kind of greeny highlighter yellow. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I'm just going to color all of my centers. Look at that. That's pretty, just that, isn't it? It looks like daisies. That's kind of pretty. Save that idea for another time. We could totally do that. Okay. Now, I had a couple of ideas. So this set of highlighters, I think, Joni, didn't it come in like a set of 12 maybe? Or it was $12? I don't know. Anyway, there were a bunch of them, and there were some different colors in there. Like, look at this blue. Look at this minty green. Look at this limey green. Stop it. I'm loving it. Look at this. Almost like this is like a blue violet. This is like a red violet. Look at this corally color. Oh my gosh. You know I'm loving it. You know I am loving it. So, what if we could do a couple of things? We could color in sections, right? That might be kind of cool to make them all kind of rainbowy. Let's do that. So what if I, right? And then I come back and I come back, right? Oh my gosh, Prince is just singing in my head. With there. And this savoir-faire. Oh, you know I have a Prince playlist on my Apple Music. And it's all the greatest hits. You guys, I'm kind of in love with this because I got a big vision. Everybody take a drink. I hope you have a big vision for yours too. I'm just gonna do some random sections. And they don't have to be perfect. Stop it. So I'm just doing some, and then I'll come in with another color and another color. But I want to get some of this minty green down in every flower. Not every petal, because I want every petal to be a little different. I don't know how many times I have looked up the time difference. Today I didn't. I saw her post was that it was hours ago and it was close to 11 here, so I figured 9 a.m. there would be 11 here. Of course, I think it changes when we do the daylight savings time. Yeah, we're always the same, which is, I know it's weird. Because are you Oklahoma, Renee? Are you Oklahoma? Am I correct? Or are you, no, are you further east than that? I liked the idea of these funky section-y petals, because by applying color, I thought you were Oklahoma, it can almost take on a Mondrian kind of vibe. And you know we love ourselves a Pete Mondrian. There we go. All right, now let's pick another color. Oh, all right, Anne, let's do. Okay. Shall we do one next to it, or shall we do one in another petal? I think let's just do one in another petal, and then we can fiddle around. So let's do this skinny petal, skinny. This skinny section. See that little pool? Let's smush it back, smush it back. You kind of need to be careful with these highlighters because they are a chisel tip. So you need to be a little bit mindful of where you're laying down color and which side of the chisel you're using. If you're doing something skinny, you want to make sure you use that kind of pointy area. Let's do this biggie. So then we can use the whole chisel. I love that. It makes me so happy. Right there, right there. You guys, look at it. Just look at it. I just know my community. I just know my community. I was telling Keely a long time ago, I said, you know, there are certainly girls who have way bigger communities than me, but I know mine. I know most everybody here, and if I don't, I ask questions. You know? I want to know. And you know all about me because you read my newsletter and you know, tune in and hear me blab. Okay. Let's go down here. There we go. I mean, you could do this, you wouldn't have to do this with highlighters. You could do it with any art medium, but coloring in sections, right? I'm kind of digging that. Let's do blue there. Oh, and you know what? There's no green in this one, so let's make sure we do some of that green. There we go. Did I get blue in every? Nope. Okay, this is the one. Didn't have any green. Okay. And this doesn't have any blue. It's funny, isn't it? You can be right on top of something and not see, not see the area that you didn't color. Crazy. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I had something I wanted to talk to you guys about. Oh my gosh. So I saw this thing while I'm just pondering my next color. There's a Instagram place called Global Positive News that I follow. And I love that because, you know, I like to fill my noggin with positive stories. Studies find music, museums, and creative hobbies may help people age more slowly. Interesting, right? Researchers say artistic activities can benefit both the brain and overall well-being. A new study suggests that activities like music, painting, theater, and museum visits may help support healthier aging. Researchers found that creative experiences can benefit memory, mental health, and overall cognitive function. an encouraging example of how creativity and curiosity can support well-being throughout life. Come on. How amazing is that? And we all know that to be true already, right? We already know that to be true. Oh, good morning, Eva, James. How are you? Okay, so now, let's come in with this color, shall we? Take your time. Take your time. We're not in a race, right? We just get done what we can get done, and then we move, then we pick it up and work on it later, too. Fill. Stop. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Let's do this one. It just made me think about how true that is, when my life is full of the arts. So not just my creating, but I visit museums, or I take myself on artist dates where I just observe the world outside of my little world. I listen to new music. All of those things. Read a different kind of genre of book. I'm telling you, all of it has like a, what do I want to say? A marked effect on me. I can feel it. I can feel I can feel it within myself, I think we've talked about that before, that if you observe, if you slow yourself down enough to become aware of that, like you are aware of how you're feeling inside, how your nervous system is responding to things. Oh, that's a gift. That is a gift. I was, as many of you know, still, my uncle is still having some challenges, and so we're still dealing with all of that. And, life is never just one challenge, right? It's a million challenges, right? It's just life in general is a challenge. Making time for my dad, making time for Jeff's mom, making time for my sister and my friends. I feel the difference when I do that for myself. And when I take a moment to create just for myself, I feel a huge, oh my gosh. It's kind of frightening how impactful that is. Because when I don't do it, it's impactful too, but in the opposite direction. There we go. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm loving this so much. I just looked to my left and I was like, ooh, next time I think I want to do that lavendery purple. That'll be pretty. But then I told myself, don't get ahead of yourself. Just look at what you're doing right now. So we are coming into summer, and every year I try to teach a back to art school class where we make art with school supplies. So I will, and I try every year to post a shopping list in the newsletter. Please open your newsletters. That's where I put a lot of information because I can put it all in one spot. So be sure to open your newsletters. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's coming together. It's coming together. Okay, let's see. Ooh, everybody take a drink and ponder what color I should do next. Oh my gosh. And so you remember when I was talking about doing this calendar project for the year, I told myself I wanted to draw something for you that would be fun to fill with color, but I also wanted to write a positive note to you. And so, because remember I told you my mom filled our lives with positive notes. She was a fabulous letter writer. She was, she filled our home with little bits and pieces. Not like it wasn't like a hoarder or anything, but every now and again we would find a positive affirmation written on an index card or a Post-it, and they were just strategically placed around our home. And I just remember the power of that. Because number one, it gives you something to think about. So this one is, the magic cannot leave you when it is you. Swear. Come on, guys. Oh, I have some things I wanted to share with you. How am I doing on time? That were in the newsletter, but I thought I wanted to give you a couple little details. So these are gloss spray flowers from the Woodland Wildflowers art printable that's in the 6th birthday bundle. That I remember I took a piece of vintage puppetry and I put some gloss spray down, and then we did a tap, tap, tap. We did that splat kind of technique, and then we let everything dry, and then I fussy cut, and then I used my hole punch because I can't waste. Wait till you see what I didn't waste on another one. But I used, look at this, this embossing folder is by Spellbinders, and it is called Tufted. I hope you can see the details in that. And I did it on a piece of black cardstock because I thought that's going to really make those flowers with the black detail pop. And then I went around the embossed card mat with a stitched border, and mine is by My Favorite Things. I love a stitch because it always feels like it finishes things. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. I kind of have a couple more ideas for this. Like, I'm thinking I want to do something in the centers. I don't know yet. I don't know. Okay. And then, if you remember last week, another thing that I did with the gloss spray, here's more fussy cut flowers from those gloss spray sheets that we then ran through the printer and printed the woodland wildflowers on. And I had, when I was at Keely's house, do this when you go to a friend's house, take your art journal. I took my art journal, and Keely had some amazing stamps that I don't have. And so I just took her black ink pad and her, one of her stamps that was kind of this, looks like a little bit piece of a screen door. And I just stamped a pattern, like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. I just filled the whole sheet with the whole page with, that patterning. And then I knew, like, these bright pink flowers were going to pop. So I fussy cut a bunch of them. You see, I used my paper punch, and I mean, like, my regular old paper punch, like an office paper punch, like that. I punched a bunch of because, you know, Joni and I have this theory that you're never going to get this paper again. You can do another paper, even with the same colors, but you're never going to get this paper again. So why not use every little speck of it you can, right? So I hand cut all these letters, Creativity Rocks, in celebration of International Creativity Day. And so it is representative. It is represented in my art journal, and the pink, I think, just pops. I did at the tail end go around each letter with a watercolor colored pencil. And now I'm going to take my damp brush and go around each letter. You see how that just kind of blurs that line? And then if you get too much pigment, just take it off. Just rub that excess pigment off onto your paper towel. Okay. That's making me happy. Look at the difference just that little bit is making. So remember that, if you're building a page in your art journal, and you have an image that you want to highlight, go around it with a watercolor colored pencil and then wet your brush and do that. Okay, last thing I wanted to share with you is, oh no, I have two more things. Okay, here is when we celebrated Cellophane Day, and we played with alcohol inks, and then we did the Scotch tape transfer technique that we had done like a couple weeks before that. And then I filled the petals and leaves of a couple of flowers from the Tessa's Garden art printable, and then I took those bits and bobs and built a Rolodex card. I love those. Okay, one last thing. Okay, so last week was the blue moon. And so I cut out, let's move that. I cut out a big circle to represent the blue moon. And then I, again, hand cut once in a blue moon, because remember, the blue moon happens when there's 2 full moons in 1 month. And that only happens every 2.5 to 3 years. And so I'm going to build a page on this, but I was kind of in a rush before the newsletter went out, and I didn't want to rush this. I didn't want to rush it And so I just laid out the pieces and snapped a picture of that. So it's still a work in progress. I wanted to show you that sometimes you just need to take your time. And I love this because do you remember we did a crayon rubbing over pennies and paper clips for Lucky Penny Day and National Paper Clip Day, right? And then we painted over that with Bluebird watercolor from Beam. And then we ran the whole thing through the printer and printed Tessa's Garden on there. And then, you know, I still have a piece about this big of this paper that I was like, I'm keeping that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm keeping that because I'll make something out of that. Anyway, keep all your bits and bobs and cut them up. Cut them up. How many minutes do I have? I have 1 minute. Okay. So my thought is for the centers of these, I have a couple of thoughts. I wanted to come in. So remember we did a wash of this color, but what if we came in and we colored in some of these little circles straight to paper. Do you see how that's sorry, that's already bringing some depth to our posy, right? So I kind of had that idea. Then I also thought, wouldn't it be cool to, because we're mixed media girls, bring our gel pen in and do some of the other dots with our gel pen. So the gel pen's going to make it shiny, right? So we're going to get some really cool depth. And we're just randomly doing some of those dots, right? Look at that. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love it so much. So I hope that I've inspired you. I hope that you are raring to go, and with all of the highlighter art today. And so I will finish these up later today and then look for them in this week's newsletter, along with other things that the rest of the team has created. Anyway, I adore you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you tomorrow in Stitch Along. Thanks so much, everybody. Go out and make it a terrific Tuesday. Bye, everyone.